Hello, my name is Lizzie, and this is Lizzie's Literary Life, and welcome to Jokes on Me, Season 2, Round 1, Episode 1. So, we are here to introduce this first vlog of Season 2 of Jokes. I'm so excited. You will also see my beautiful 2025 genre blanket. This is not the first video you will be seeing this in. You will have hopefully, seen it in my video a few days ago, last week, whenever. That was my Crochet and Book Chats episode 4, where I did my 2025 wrap up and my 2026 plans. If you have not seen that yet, I will link it right there so you can check it out, where I talk all about this blanket. But I just wanted to shout it out because it is the first video I am filming with this in the background. So, very exciting. We are here for Jokes, Round 1, Episode 1 of Season 2. And I already did the flips, so maybe I should talk more about the game, actually, because this is the first one, so I probably should. Jokes on Me is a game created by Bailey from Is Bailey Reading. She has played it for many years, and I just love it. I think it's really excellent. And I played a round that I'm calling Season 1 for 2 years. It took me 2 years to play that Jokes round. It's a game in rounds. Each episode is 3 flips. You'll see how it works when I do the flips, but basically we have this board, and this is my personal jokes board that Ruby from Ruby Red did the color scheming for me. And I have my personal prompts around the edge. So the prompts are around the edge. I always start here at the beginning of a round. Well, I did this time. I started here. And the goal is to get all the way around the board back to where you started. And you do that by flipping cards. The number on the card is how much you move, except these specific special rules. So if it's a 2, I would move 2 and do the prompt twice. So I have to read 2 books. A 3, you do all 3 prompts you hit. A 4, you move backwards and then do that prompt. A 5 is normal, move 5. 6, you split 3 and 3, so you do 1, 2, 3, do that prompt. 1, 2, 3, do that prompt. 7, you jump across the board, so you jump across the board diagonally. 8, you move 8 and then do the opposite of the prompt. 9, move 9. 10, move 10. Ace, move 1. I didn't say that. Jack, you don't move at all, but you have to unhaul a book. Queen and King, you don't move at all, but you have to buy a book or get to buy a book. And then if you pull a joker, you have to start over. So let's say I'm like here. I've made it almost all the way around, and I pull a joker. This is my new starting point that I have to get back to. So then you have to go all the way around and get back to that point where you pulled the joker. In my Season 1, I did actually pull a joker, and I was like way over here. So it can happen. But this is the board. There are 3 card flips per episode. So I will do 3 card flips in this episode. I actually already did them, but you will see them shortly. And then the round goes until you get back to where you started or back to where the joker was pulled. So wish me the best of luck for this round. First round of Season 2 using this beautiful pink board. And I am going to roll the flips. Hello, I am so incredibly excited to do these flips. The board is beautiful. Ruby did an incredible job. I'm sure I've already talked about it, but here is my Season 2 board. And I have these cards because the red ones that I was using last round, like really clashed with the pink board. I didn't like it. These are kind of old cards, but it's okay. I'm gonna shuffle them. I'll show you if I can shuffle. They're old, but they're like nice old, you know, where they like shuffle super nicely. I've had these cards a really long time. And 3rd time's the charm. Okay. Shuffled, ready to go. We have our game piece is this stitch marker. We're starting in the bottom right corner. Our goal is to go all the way around the board and back to the bottom right corner. And first up, I'm so excited, we have a king. We don't move at all, but we get to buy a book, so that's exciting. Next up, do I shuffle again? No, I'm buying 2 books. I'm buying 2 books in this video. I'm buying 2 books. It's okay. And a 9, so at least we get some movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sequel of choice. I know exactly what I'm going to read. This is very exciting. And that's our 3 flips. Okay, so as you saw, the first 2 cards I flipped were a king and a queen. So I get to buy 2 books this episode. And I have already ordered one online, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. I will do a haul when I get it. And then I think I want to actually go to a physical bookstore, maybe a used bookstore. I have one in mind that I would like to go to and browse and buy a book. So I will take you along with me on that journey. And then I flipped a 9 and I landed on sequel of choice. And I said in the clip, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to read for this. And that is Ruin by John Gwynne. And this is because I actually read about 300 pages of this, 350, 378 maybe. I read a chunk of this in August, in my Alden August vlogs actually. And I was reading it on ebook. And then I had to put it down because there just were too many other things, too many other books, too many other goals. And I put it down and I really have been wanting to pick it back up. So this is the perfect time. I did find out that my library has, I guess, lost access to it, the ebook. So I wasn't able to get the ebook again. So I got this physical copy, which is freaking gigantic. It's like as big as my head. Anyway, I'm really excited to get back to this. I love this series. This is book 3 in The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne. I did start telling you my very beginning thoughts in the All Done August vlogs, so it'll be nice and exciting to continue with this. I am, at this point, there, because I have read some of it this month before doing this intro. But I will be keeping you posted on what I think. And that's all the flips, but I do, Bailey always does, and so I'm going to do a My Choice book each episode, so a book that I just totally pick from something else I need to read, a buddy read, whatever. And this, I am picking a buddy read for the My Choice this episode, and that is the nonfiction book, Tiny Experiments, How to Live Freely in a Goal-Obsessed World, how to reference the subtitle, by Anne-Laure Lecouf. And it'll be on the screen. This is a nonfiction book about goal setting and the pitfalls of goal setting and different ways of doing that can be more effective and more fun. And I thought that sounded like a really fun concept. And I'm buddy reading it with some of my friends in our group chat. Because we wanted to do some nonfiction buddy reads this year, and this is the first one. So I'm very excited to read that, as well as finish this, and I will let you know how it goes. Hello, I'm here because I have finished, I've conquered Ruin by John Gwynne, this giant book. I'm sure I already showed you how big it is, but it's a big one. I did finish just now. Oh my God. It sort of ruined me per the title. I didn't cry. I did cry during the second book, I think, which was Valor. I didn't cry during this one because I'm not sure, if the person who potentially died at the very end of this is actually dead. If they are actually dead, I will definitely cry at the beginning of the next one. Once that is confirmed. But oh my gosh, this hurted. I can't really tell you much plot wise because this is the 3rd book in a series, but it's a grimdark Norse mythology inspired fantasy series. The first one is Malice. And it's pretty malicious as a series to my feelings. There's a lot of characters, there's a lot of plot. This book got a 4-star from me, which is actually lower than the other 2 books that both got a 4.5 star. Mostly because I think there were a few too many action sequences in this book, too many battles. I do think John Gwynne writes battles very well and very compellingly, and there are really real stakes in this series. But this one, it felt like there was just a little bit too much sword, slice. That's my impression of the battles that occur in this book. They're much more frantic than this, than that. But little bit too much action sequences for my taste, but the stakes are so high, and I know that John Gwynne is not afraid to kill characters that we love, so that really adds something to it. And just in general, I think an excellent series. It's not for everyone, for sure. But I really like the way that John Gwynne writes characters and their internal struggles with good and evil and right and wrong. I think that those themes are really strong in this book as well. So yeah, this is done. That was my sequel of choice. I really would like to read the 4th book soon, the last book in the series very soon. So hopefully I get another sequel of choice or can fill it in as a my choice or something, because I really want to finish this series ASAP. The other thing, I have 2 more things I have to update you on. I'm going to start with a haul, because I got 2 buy-a-books in this episode, and I've bought my first one. The first one I did purchase from The Evil A, because I've been looking for this book, specifically the edition that I want, the paperback, I'm feeling it to make sure they sent me the paperback. Yes, I've been looking for the paperback in bookstores for ages, and I have not been able to find it. So we did order it, and I am going to open it right now. That scared Pumpkin, sorry. It is Summer by Ali Smith, and I grabbed the rest of the series, which I've collected here as well. So let me put them in order. I think this is... And they all match. I'm so happy to have these. I read this series throughout the year of Herkyed that I did Herkyed. These were my seasonal books for every single season, and I read Summer from the library, but I hadn't been able to find the paperback to purchase, so I'm really glad I have had that now. So it's not adding to my TBR. These are just going to stay on my head. It's not adding to my TBR. It is a book I've already read, so that's good. And I am very glad to own it. They will go on my new bookshelf, probably, because they were kind of stuck every which way on the old bookshelf. We'll see how I end up organizing my books. We'll see. Maybe you've already seen. I don't think you've already seen. Anyway, okay. The last thing I have to tell you about, I'm going to grab my Kindle and hold it up because I feel I'm reading this book on my Kindle. My choice book, which is Tiny Experiments, I am in the middle of. I'm at, let's see, I feel like I'm at 30%. I am finding it very interesting so far. I'm at, 16%. Oh, but there's a lot of notes at the end. So that's 16%, including all of the notes and citations and appendices and bibliography, etc. So I think I'm actually probably closer to 25%. This book is really interesting. I don't know how much I pitched it in the intro, so I'm going to pitch it now. It is about goal setting, but basically it takes the thesis that we are frequently, like in culture and in the workforce and everything, we are told to set linear goals of like point A to point B. But those are not necessarily effective. It is more difficult. It's difficult to follow through on them. And there's all of these frameworks like SMART goals and stuff, which I have to set at work and stuff. But the type of I want to get to point B, so that's the goal. Linear goal is not necessarily the best type of goal setting. And so this takes the idea that instead of setting linear goals, we should be setting circular like loops of experiments. So I'm not that far in, so I don't have all of the theory yet, but I'm finding it really interesting so far. It's really interesting to read right at the beginning of the year as we are thinking about New Year's resolutions and goal setting and such. And goal setting and that kind of thing is something that's very fascinating to me, and the theory of that is interesting. So I'm really enjoying it. I've been like highlighting quotes and then taking notes on them in my journal, which has been a really good, feels like a very engaging way to read this book for me. So stay tuned for when I finish that. I think the next thing you'll see is my book shopping trip, which I'm planning to take maybe this weekend, maybe later this week. I'm going to go to a used bookstore in my area and just pick something out for my second buy a book for this episode. So stay tuned for that. And then after that, or maybe before that, a review of Tiny Experiments. And that's this episode.
Hello. I am on my way to go on an adventure. We are going to go, it's snowing. Well, it's not snowing. It snowed. You can see the beautiful scenery. It's quite cold. But we are going to the yarn store and the bookstore. So I think I'm going to go to the bookstore first, because that is like actually what belongs in this vlog. And then the yarn store is just going to be a bonus. We're going to Raven Used Books, which is my favorite used bookstore in my area. And I am going to get a book that counts as hauling a book for this video. And then I'm going to go to the yarn store. And I have a couple goals in mind for yarn, but I will tell you about them when I show you my haul. Basically, I need to get a purple worsted that color matches with this purple cashmere I already have. And then I also want to get a specific one skein of a specific yarn so I can swatch it and see if it'll work well for a certain project. And then whether it works or not, I have a backup project that I'm going to do with it, just in case. And then I have to go to the grocery store, but I don't know if I'll take you along with that one. That's kind of boring. But books and yarn, we like books and yarn here, right? Yeah. Yeah.
I spent so long in the bookstore trying to pick my one book. I changed my mind like 5 times, but I did pick a book that I'm really excited about. So it was sort of a last minute decision, actually, a last minute change of my mind. I am headed to the yarn store now, and I will show you my haul when I get home. Hello. It's actually been like almost a week since I did this shopping trip, but it's okay. It was just a second ago for you, and I am here to bring you my haul. Like I said, I had a very difficult time deciding. I was considering several different things, and then even after I left, I was like, oh, I kind of regret not getting this other one, but now I can't even remember what that was. So that's okay. I'm excited about this one. The book that I got for my second buy a book in this episode is 7 Empty Houses by Samantha Schweblin. Now, Samantha Schweblin wrote Fever Dream, which I did read, and I actually didn't like it very much, but I listened to it on audio, and it was sort of like, it was a fever dream, and I think I would have liked it better had I eyeball read it, and I do really want to try something else from her. So here we go. This is translated from Spanish, I believe. Samantha Schweblin is from Argentina, and this was a National Book Award winner, according to this not sticker on the cover. And yeah, I'm excited to read this. I don't know when I'll get to it, but it's nice and quick. And it looks like, I'll flip through again so you can actually see. Looks like there's not a ton of words on a page. So I think it should go really quick when I do get around to this. And it's a very small book. So excited about this one. And I will be back to talk to you once I have finished Tiny Experiments. So stay tuned. Okay, hello. I am here to review Tiny Experiments and outro this vlog. Tiny Experiments was, I think, truly an excellent book. An excellent nonfiction if you struggle with anything from procrastination to perfectionism to just like goal setting in general. I do recommend it as sort of a reframe on those things. And for me, I just found diving into the theory around goal setting and like different ways of doing that are not necessarily the traditional model of like SMART goals driven by capitalism. I found that really interesting. Speaking of capitalism, this is a very anti-capitalist book, not like explicitly, and it hardly ever really even explicitly mentions that, but I felt like its themes and its theories were so like collective and growth centered versus results centered. And there's one big theme that I found was like one of the reasons traditional goal setting is ultimately dissatisfying, traditional linear goal setting, is ultimately dissatisfying, is because as we progress, the finish line gets further away. Like there's so much pressure to always have more, bigger, and that comes from capitalism. And truly, like, there's a difference between focusing on growing a product and like incremental growth within yourself. And I feel like that's ultimately what this book was about, was like, how do we focus on growing and developing ourselves and our communities and our relationships in a way that is not commodifying our growth, if that makes sense. Couple things, big things I took away from this book. I gave it 4.5 stars, by the way. I really enjoyed my reading experience. My reading and journaling about it was like great. I loved reading that way. It didn't feel like it completely changed my life, which is why I didn't give it a 5-star, but maybe that's a little harsh. I don't know. I do think this was an excellently researched and put together and accessible book that I learned a lot from. Couple things I took away from it. The idea that the finish line doesn't have to move once you reach it. There's a whole chapter on like, what do you do? Okay, let me start from the beginning. The focus in terms of goal setting is very much on actionable steps. There's these things called pacts, which is like you make a pact to do action every frequency for duration. Like, I will run 3 times a week for 3 months, right? And it's not about, I'm going to run a 10K at the end of this. It's about showing up every day or every other day or whatever, however frequent, and doing the thing you set out to do. So like, there's no failing besides not showing up, you know? And I think that's like a very much more positive and actionable way of setting goals than like, I'm gonna achieve this result. And then there's a chapter on like, when you finish your pact after those 3 months, what do you do? And it talks a lot about like, you don't have to move the finish line. The 3 options it gives are persist, pause, and pivot. So like, you can keep going as you don't have to level up. You don't have to step up. You can just keep going as you're going. If it's working for you, keep going. You can pause if it's no longer serving you. And you don't have to go back to it. That can be a pause forever, but it leaves it open. And then pivot, changing course. There's a lot about how like things, circumstances and situations and goals change, and that's okay. That's good, because that means you're growing, and that's what life is, right? I really like this book. I would definitely recommend it if you're interested in sort of like productivity type books, like self-help adjacent, but like it was much more theoretical than like, I don't know. If you are someone who read books and are interested in books like Atomic Habits, I feel like this is a very mindful alternative to that. So I definitely recommend this book. And that brings us to the end of the episode. We had 3 card flips and a My Choice, so I'm going to recap, even though it wasn't that long ago for you. We got a King, and we bought Summer by Ali Smith. We got a Queen, and we bought 7 Empty Houses by Samantha Schweblin. We got a 9, and we read, for my sequel of choice, we read Ruin by John Gwynne. Gave it 4 stars. And then for my choice, we read Tiny Experiments and gave it 4.5 stars. So overall, a hugely successful episode 1 of round 1 of season 2. And I will see you for episode 2, which I will give you a little spoiler. It's a hefty one, much heftier than this one. So stay tuned for that in a couple weeks when I finish reading all the books. And comment down below something. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one coming very soon. Bye.